The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note, the new number is...
Hello?
Hey everybody, I'm Dan,
I'm Ted.
and we're here at the world famous YouTube TV show, Just Another Way to Waste 60 Minutes.
It is?
Yeah, and it's, there's a lot of ways you could waste your 60 minutes. You could go, I don't know, the laundromat, and people watch for an hour. You could watch two sitcoms back to back that are like dry cracker, laughs. Or you could watch two very unique, a little bit eccentric, wildly talented, starving artists do their thing.
Hey, why not?
And it's free. That's the key.
Yeah. Free is always best, I've always said.
It's it's the best way I've found to sell things. It's free.
But
That's not enough.
the funny thing is more people aren't like that though, because anytime I've said, hey, I set a bunch of stuff out and say it's free, the first question a lot of people ask me is, okay, what's wrong with it? Like, nothing's wrong with it. I just don't want it. Here, you have it.
I've always, speaking of that, you and I have both authored books, and I have probably given away almost as many as I've sold, probably. And I tell people, I would rather that book be in a reader's hands than sitting in a box. You know what I mean? Me waiting to sell it. I would rather somebody read it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's probably what I'm going to be doing with my latest chat book that's coming out. I'll probably be giving them to immediate friends and that sort of thing, depending upon how many copies I get, of course. But um, you know, uh, you know, looking forward to pushing that. And that's the part that I always struggle with, though. Uh, I always struggled with like the selling part, so I think that's part of why I end up giving them away. Um, but a friend of mine gave me a really good bit of advice. She said that a therapist she had told her in regards to when she was starting her own business, and she was struggling with the selling herself thing. She said to think of a celebrity or somebody that you admire who exudes like a certain kind of confidence that you would like to have and try to mirror that in some way. So mine is Michael Stipe from REM. I've just always admired like the fact that he was, you know, uh, male and wearing makeup and things like that in the 80s. I mean, it wasn't that weird to do that in the 80s, but, like to do that in the South, where they're from, it was a pretty bold move. And I just always liked that he referred to himself because he's naturally very shy, but he's just this dynamite front man, and he referred to himself as being loud shy. And same. I'm a talker, but I'm naturally like very introverted and, you know, uh, kind of take a back seat. But, you know, and it's helped. When I give readings, I kind of step into character a little bit.
Yeah. That is a great segue because this segment, Ted, before we get lost in outer space talking about black holes and what Edgar Allan Poe or whatever, we're supposed to talk about what we're up to as artists. And you mentioned that you have a new chapbook coming.
I do. It is called But Did You Die? And it is coming out from Two Key Customs. It's handmade chapbook, fold and staple style. Which I always get more excited about the handbound books than print on demand. Like having like a perfectly bound book is all well and good, but I grew up reading zines and stuff like that and collecting chapbooks. So I like the feel that somebody else worked on this. It didn't just go through a computer. Um, so yeah, I've got a new chapbook, and I've got a reading coming up on the 20.
When does that chapbook release, Ted?
Oh, the chapbook comes out on the 29th of September.
So Monday, the 20th.
Yes.
Okay.
That'll be available through Etsy, their Etsy shop. I'll shoot you a link once it becomes available.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's available, the 29th. That'll be online, like people be able to buy it online and stuff? Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
and I'll have copies too. I'm not sure how many copies I'll have, but I'll be probably dealing with those locally. I'm trying to get in with the local bookshop about selling some of my books. So I may start with the chapbook and see how those do, and then go from there. It has a very eye-catching cover, made in close collaboration with my wife. She came up with the initial concept of a abandoned looking house, and I looked at it and I said, "Can the house be on fire?" And she said, "Of course it can, honey," because that's just how we work, and it came out awesome. I'm really really happy with it. I think it's a cover that's going to make people like, I want to read that book, you know, see what it's about. It's called "But Did You Die?" and it's a house on fire. But I also have reading at the Iredell County Arts Council in North Carolina here in Statesville, and that is on the 25th, which is Thursday, and that kicks off at 7:30 p.m.
Oh yeah. So when this releases, that will have already happened, and we'll have to talk
Okay.
about next month how it went. That
Oh yeah.
also, and to let people know, that reading that Ted has on the 25th is most likely going to be put on YouTube, or at least be
Yes.
kind of video available. So
Hmm. Yeah.
we'll share that from the TV show here when we get that. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
congratulations on your new book.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, you've got a couple of books coming out yourself.
I do
You've
well. Yeah,
been.
I've got my first ever poetry collection, which is funny. Uh, I have traveled to. I've read poetry in like 20 some states. Uh, in the last like 12 years, and I've never had like a real poetry book published. I've just had my novels, right?
Right.
Because over the years I learned those staple chapbooks. I learned how to make them on my computer and like staple them and make like little chapbooks.
Uh,
And it was always I made a lot more money taking those on the road when I would do like little poetry tours. And I would read a lot of times in dive bars or these other places, and I would always, hey, $5 for a chapbook. And I would get more gas money that way than I would like, I don't know. So I never had a poetry book till now. So my first poetry collection comes out next month. Pre-orders are up now. Uh, it's coming from Luchador Press. And then October 18th, Saturday at 2:30 p.m. in Perrysburg, Ohio, at my all-time favorite bookstore, Gathering Volumes. There'll be a reading and book release celebration with me and the Lucas County Poet Laureate, Johnny McIntyre, a friend of mine.
oh,
Take
nice.
that. And then the other thing I wanted to mention that is also going on uh, is I've been a small part of helping plan a small press festival
Yes.
with Michelle McDonald, Culture Clash Records in Toledo, the Switchboard, and some other places. So we're doing it's called the Underground Lit Fest. And
Nice.
it's Friday, November 7th, and Saturday, November 8th. There will be readings featuring 30 some poets from over 20 different states. And there's going to even be a book fair with like 10 different small press publishers present. Uh, and it's going to be hosted at Culture Clash Records, my favorite record, my record store, my so
Gigs and record stores are always more fun.
well they
Yeah.
have what's wild about Culture Clash Records they have this big. So there's a bar on the end of their building called the Switchboard,
Uh,
and in between their building, the record store and the Switchboard, is this like big, large room where they've built like a small performance stage,
uh,
and so they can have like bands play. They have concerts there all the time. Uh,
yeah,
they do,
Dead Wax here in North Carolina. My friend Chris's store is kind of like that. He had the front store space, but then he had this storage room that he had more room than he needed storage for, and he figured out that he could carpet off the corner and make a stage, and he started having bands play there for a little while.
oh yeah.
Um, However, North Carolina punk rockers are a rowdy bunch, and he eventually stopped having shows because he had one show that went really, really bad. Like all but the cops showed up, bad. And after that, he was like, I'm done.
The following books are out now and available from Roadside Press. They can be purchased at www.theliteraryunderground.org. Hey, it's your co-host Dan Denton here. My first book of poetry, Fight Songs for the Underdogs, from Luchador Press, releases in just a few days. Pre-order sales are available till Friday, October 3rd. Online sales will begin on Sunday, October 12th. There will be an online Zoom reading to celebrate the release that Sunday, October 12th, and there will be an in-person book release at 2:30 p.m. on October 18th in Perrysburg, Ohio at Gathering Volumes Bookstore.
That's a good point you bring up, Ted. Now, you and I both have a pretty deep love for punk.
Oh, yes.
I grew up as a teenager in the '90s in Illinois, in Nowheresville, Illinois. And even then, we would go to the record store and buy punk CDs or hip hop. We got into hip hop, which I think has every bit as much rage as punk. Like it's like a natural,
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
yeah. They're two sides of the same coin in my mind.
yeah. And we both grew up like with the big hair bands, destroying hotel rooms and all this bullshit. But as a small independent poet and artist, and I have been to a lot of local shows, and I've seen my share of punk behavior. Uh, but I have learned, I'm in my 40s now, and it's so hard to find these venues anymore that, like, I have noticed, even in my local community in Toledo, like the punk scene has like a protective, like, hey, don't fuck this up for us, kind of like, like I
Hmm.
said, I think that's what punk is supposed to have, like a DIY police yourself, you know.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I really kind of like that, because Culture Clash Records, for example, if they were to host a punk show, like, dude, that's my favorite record store in the world. They've been around forever, Uh, don't tear their building up, I love that place.
Yeah. 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 I'm same way, like the thing. in North Carolina, it's kind of sad, and it's the reason that I kind of checked out of the punk scene and like gravitated towards other kinds of music is because it got infiltrated by this like far right neo-Nazi. Like, there's a lot of that here, and I saw a black guy get punched in the pit, and I was like, I'm done. I stopped going to shows uh, for a while and started going to see other kinds of music. But yeah, there's been some pushback. There's also the Sharps, which are skinheads who are against racists, and they've been fighting back. So a lot of those right wingers are starting to die off. I'm finding much of it at their own volition because like the drug scene entered the picture, and you know how that goes.
Yeah. I've never this is a different time or a different place, but I know like Lemmy and those older guys, and especially in the older punk scene, they had a lot of like Nazi memorabilia, and that was kind of like a punk symbol or something for a little while. But there's no way you can be like a real fucking Nazi and be punk. Like it's just not fucking possible. I mean, that's what people
It's
think.
a total
You have like some
oxymoron.
rage metal or some bullshit. But that don't make you fucking punk, you know?
Yes, yeah, it's the total antithesis of everything that punk stands for, in my mind. Uh, you know, uh, but yeah, I'm with you. Like I couldn't stomach seeing that kind of shit happening. Between that and like I went to a show one night, like somebody that I knew that was kind of he sort of towed the line. Like there were always these weird dudes that like weren't skinheads, but they hung out with the skinheads for some reason. It was one of those situations. Um, we didn't tell me where we were going. We ended up at the singer of this like one right wing band's house, and they had like a Nazi flag on the wall, and I'm just like instant like panicking inside, just like when can we get out of here? But yeah, it got bad for a while. Um, but I'm glad to see it going the other way. I'm actually going to a queer punk show here in October, and I'm really excited about that. It's also in a town I used to live in, Durham, North Carolina, and I haven't been back there in a long time. I'm really kind of excited to see the old town and uh, go rage in the pit a little bit.
Oh yeah. Uh, I want to ask you a quick question before we end this segment. You have a reading coming up on the 25th, and you
Mhm.
have a book releasing on the 29th. And I have
Yes.
a similar situation. A book, Fight Songs for the Underdogs coming next month, and some readings. How much of your reading will you devote to like reading from that book? Because like you got a
It's
book, you got to kind of hustle a little bit. You got to read something from it.
it's gonna be well, a couple of the poems, like four poems I had from that ended up in this collection were previously published in an issue of Big Hammer that just came out, Dave Roscoe magazine. And uh I'm gonna be reading from those. So in a way I'm like promoting that magazine, but I'm also promoting the book at the same time. Because I don't know that I'll have copies in hand by the time of the reading. I'm not sure when Steve is mailing those out, but uh, yeah, I usually when I have a book that's just come out, like I'll push it, and then the reading after that, I'll probably be trying new stuff. You know,
There's my first collection of poems has like 90 poems in it, so there's definitely poems I can read. But I always like the last few years, for some reason, I find myself like I want to read my new shit. It's like, and it's not that much. Like I've got good poems from 5 years ago. Like this book has got a lot of good poems in it. Obviously I think all of them are somewhat good, at least.
right? Right.
Like, but it's always like my new shit. Like I always find, and I think it's because that's like the most prescient. That's the most fresh, you know.
Well, yeah, well, I was gonna mention that to remind myself of free speech and what it looks and sounds like. I've been watching this George Carlin commemorative set, and the crazy thing about Carlin was if you went and saw him after his special came out, he would be doing all new material. Like he would do an hour for a year, and then he would record that hour, and then he would chuck it out the window, and he would immediately start hammering away at the next thing. And that is really inspiring to me. And I'm kind of starting to hedge on being a little more towards that. But given the book has just come out, and also I've been kind of dry here lately for new material. I've been playing guitar and stuff more, trying to get ideas for this next record I want to make, and so I haven't been putting words to paper lately, but I'm starting to get back to that. And Carlin is actually how I learned stagecraft. Like the art of being on stage and talking in front of people. I learned from watching comedians more than anybody else. I didn't know any poets when I was coming up, except for the ones that I like to read. So
That
yeah, the way he this has got like uh all of his special. I've been it's a lot to chip away at. It's all the HBO specials, including one that was shelved. Because get this, when 9/11 happened, he had just filmed a special called I kind of like it when a lot of people die. And then 9/11 happened and they shelved that special, and he had to go and like re-record like new material. Like that that special is actually on here, the unreleased special. And boy, he would have gotten some shit.
Hey, it's your trusty news correspondent Dan here, giving you the monthly Sasquatch sighting report. Now, please understand that this report only gives you credible sightings from the BFRO, the Bigfoot Research Organization. The BFRO site is the only collection of Bigfoot reports from across North America that have actually been investigated by researchers to determine credibility. So there you go. This is not a report of your drunk Uncle Larry out in the woods with his buddies doing magic mushrooms and thinking they see a Sasquatch. No, these are only credible reports that have been researched by by the Bigfoot professionals. So, honestly, in the month of September, old Bigfoot himself, Mr. Sasquatch, has been a little bit low-key. We only have one credible report from the whole month of September in North America. And it is a Class B report from the state of California. Now, Class B is an incident where a possible Sasquatch was observed at a great distance or in poor lighting conditions, and incidents in any other circumstance that did not afford a clear view of the subject are considered Class B reports. So this is a credible report, but they didn't get a clear view. From Mount Baldy Road Highway in Southern California on Tuesday, September 9th, a man drove up the Menker Flats to hike the Mount Baldy Bull to Devil's Backbone Trail. It was approximately 8 a.m. The weather was approximately 60 degrees. And out there on Mount Baldy Road, the man was opening the tailgate of his Jeep, and he heard a scream that produced a strong emotional response. He says the sound went on for approximately 10 to 15 seconds, and he was able to capture on a video the last 2 to 3 seconds of the scream. So after he got the video, the man reports that there were 15 other vehicles there parked. They all heard it too. And to even add a little touch more of credibility, I reckon, the man is a police officer with the Los Angeles Police Department. So this report was investigated by a researcher. He says he heard the video. It's definitely the call of a male Sasquatch. No doubt about it, this is an official Class B report, so be on the lookout. Sasquatch has been seen, or not, I guess rather not seen, he's been heard. Sasquatch has been heard yelling and screaming out on Mount Baldy in Southern California. There you go. There's this month's Sasquatch sighting report. Brought to you by your trusty correspondent Dan from Channel 62 News.
Hey, I'm Dan.
I'm Ted.
And we're here with this month's special guest, one of the most fun artists I've ever got to meet, Todd Cirillo. Hey, Todd.
Hey, y'all, how you making out?
Oh, yeah. It's, September, man.
Yeah, now we go into the cooler months. Well, we're gearing up for it.
Yeah, I don't like it. Todd, where are you from?
New Orleans, Louisiana. Yeah.
What
What about you?
Actually, I was born in Indiana and grew up in Illinois and lived in like 4 other states in Ohio.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now I live in a camper, and I try to like spend as much time somewhere else as I can.
It's a real camper?
Yeah, it's a 23 foot. It's like 172 square foot, 20-year-old mobile, 25-year-old mobile home.
Amazing. All right. Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
this is, the DIY hippie starving artist, man. And, I have Pentecostal families, and this is not about me today, right? I have Pentecostal family upbringing, and I was adopted. And so I went to community college for 2 semesters, and one of my best friends came out of the closet. And in 1996 in Mattoon, Illinois, we decided to start a gay and lesbian support group.
Yeah.
We got protested by, like, the whole town showed up, it seemed like. And my parents, like, publicly disowned me. So I've kind of been rootless, and, I had kids in Ohio, but yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, the Pentecostals, they they take their gibberish seriously.
Yes, they do.
That's actually the Pentecostals and the Baptists. Yeah.
Now that you said that, I think I have a hard time with anybody that takes anything that serious. Whether it's like people that worship Bob Dylan or Bukowski or Drake, like they make these people like godlike or something, or like
Yeah.
you're not serious about it,
Yeah, it's too much and it doesn't leave room for actually fun conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. Like I'm always gravitated towards artists that feel more human, I guess, if that makes sense. And I like to view my artists as being people because for me being an artist myself, that makes it more attainable, I guess.
Yeah.
Which I guess is why punk excited me so much because it was like, oh, I could actually do this.
Oh yeah, one of my the great Kerry Floyd, one of my best friends, he's going to see the Circle Jerks next week.
Oh hell yeah, hell yeah. Is he going to Keith's 70th birthday party? Is that what it is? That's coming up.
Yeah, whatever it is, he's going like next week. Yeah. So.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. I actually wrote a review of Keith's memoir a couple of years back and I felt like such a fanboy. I actually like sent him a message on Facebook like, is it okay if I write a review of your book, please? And he was totally cool and I had a lot of fun with that. But that's cool.
So Todd has been not only a longtime poet, and when I say long time, I mean like a well-known kind of veteran of the underground for 2 or 3 decades. And so he's been a well-known poet, traveled the country doing poetry in some of the most wild, fun places, and is also a co-founder and small press publisher. So
Yeah,
just a,
that's 6 foot Swells Press. Yeah.
yeah. So let me ask you a question. Six
Yes.
foot Swells Press. I know.
Yes.
So I read the book.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, the new one. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
there's an anniversary book. Tell us about the 20-year anniversary book first.
Well, one, I didn't realize it was the 20th anniversary until Julie said something earlier this year. So then we started bouncing ideas and said, well, you know, one, I am very sentimental. Two, I love like ritual and, things like that. And so what we decided to do was one, put out a new book by, another poet in the world. So we did Jake St. John's book, The 13th Round, and we released that in the spring. So then we said, well, uh, it also occurred to us that like myself and the other co-founders, Julie Valin out of California and Matt Amott out of Portland, that we had never done a book together. And so we said, okay, well, we'll just put something together, something fun. But then it became, well, let's all include not only essays from our twisted perspective of how the press and everything started way back when, but also photographs as well, along with new poems. And then, so that'd be the second, that was just released last weekend. And then October 10th, we're actually releasing an anthology of of the 20 years. This is actually the proof. I just got it today. It's called From the Top Shelf, a 6 foot Swells anthology, and it includes 20 writers, and it's 180 pages. But we've been fortunate to publish people for their very first time ever getting published to internationally known writers such as A.D. Winans and Kim Adenizio. For one of our books, Gary Snyder gave us a wonderful foreword, and so we're doing three things, and then a big event in California and whatnot later. But yeah, three poets walking to a bar was just to really just have a good time with it, and that's how we started the press, and that's how we're continuing with the press. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. And all of we share a similar poetic philosophy of if the poet has to explain their poem to the audience, then the poet has failed. And we've always believed that ever since the very, very first, get together that we'd have. And we've had lots of events over the years, but the three of us have not been together. A few years ago, I produced an event here, Poets with Drinks, that I do sort of on the regular once a year, once every other year. And I brought in Matt, and I brought in Julie, and a couple other, William Taylor Jr. Billiam was here, and that was the last time that we got to read with one another. But in California, we haven't been together in well over a decade. Yeah, so it's gonna be a good weekend. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So when is that event in California? You know yet? I have a date.
October 10th. Yeah, it's October 10th. Yeah. So it's going to be celebrating the two books. Yeah. Three poets walk into a bar, and From the Top Shelf, the anthology. So yeah.
You covered kind of two of the things I quickly noticed with that book. I love those black and white Polaroid photos. Like that's it adds a lot to the book. It adds a lot of fun to the book.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree and like that philosophy. If I've got to explain my poetry, that I failed. That's kind of been,
Yeah, it doesn't get me invited into MFA programs and whatnot, but it resonates with the right people.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
I'm great friends with people who have gotten MFAs, and that's their choice, and their steps that they're walking in and all that. And on the down low, a lot of them roll up to get something like this, you know.
Right.
So that I always take that as a compliment too, and I tend to think that the ones who have not lost their initial sort of you know interest or flame about writing have not lost the ability to recognize good writing, no matter, you know, it doesn't have to come from a class or a workshop or anything like that.
Yeah.
I tell you,
I got a couple of MFAs that are kind of mentors to me, but they come from a blue collar background, like
Yeah.
family life, and then went to college and became professors. And
Right.
I've noticed that those are the MFAs that I really dig. The ones that kind of know what the common man, they know a good story, they know good art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah, one of the things that made me feel like I was on the right path was I read a poem to a friend of mine in high school, and I asked them what they thought, and they said, "That sounds like you." And I was like, all right, I'm on to something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of like there's classical composers that have also complimented like Nine Inch Nails, like Trent Reznor, right? And they recognize, okay, come from different places, but this is a you know classic piece of work or whatever, you know, might be.
Yeah, yeah, I've had those teachers that were the opposite, and like I had a music teacher in middle school that like if it wasn't classical or jazz, it was noise. He would tell you to bring in your favorite piece of music, and then he would just like pick it apart, and it's like that's not reaching kids. Meet them on their level.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Todd, in addition to being the co-founder and editor of
Yeah.
6 Foot Swells Press, so
Yeah.
6 Foot Swells Press, where does that name come from?
The name comes from when Julie and I sat down. We're in a bar, and we decided we wanted to, take on a new project, and so that's where the press came out because we saw the different possibilities with it, and also it was, writers who we really dug their work. We wanted to be able to offer, publish them and whatnot. We don't take unsolicited manuscripts. We still don't. And But we needed the name. And so Matt used to put out these little staple do-it-yourself. They were just like little chapbooks that he would staple, and they were full of his drawings and some poems. And he would leave them around town, like everywhere, all around town. I think grocery stores and ex-girlfriends and coffee shops and bars and whatnot. But on it, it had 6 Foot Swells. It had that phrase, and so that has always resonated with me. And so then we brought him to the bar and put out the idea: can we use this phrase that he had, because it's also his email address, and so that's where 6 Foot Swells was born. Because we've always referred to ourselves as poets, publishers, and pirates, and so it all worked. Yeah, yeah.
Where does the pirate come in?
Yeah.
Where,
Because I'm a pirate and I always have been, and I would consider them my shipmates, and I'm not, so they must be pirates in some way, shape, or form. But I always have been, and from my gold tooth to my tattoo, and sometimes we just have a feeling of what was or what could have been, and maybe we weren't born for these times or something.
Oh yeah, that was the first thing I remember reading about you when I first heard your name. Probably, fuck, I don't know, 10 or 11 years ago. The first thing I remember reading was a pirate. Like, what the fuck? Who the fuck's a pirate poet? And I was immediately interested. I was like, one of these days, I gotta meet this guy.
Yeah, you got to have a sense of adventure. You have to have a sense for, again, I think pirates can be very sentimental or superstitious, and I think they kind of go hand in hand. But also, you have to have a love for life and the adventure, but also I think that it's having a keen eye, right? Because you always want to make it to some shore, so you have to be able to see where that is. And I think that's very similar to how you can write poems, right? You can see it, but you got to figure out how to get there to get a good, little poem.
Come help celebrate 20 years of independent publishing with 6 Foot Swells Press by buying their new book, Three Poets Walk Into a Bar, featuring poets Todd Cirillo, Julie Ballin, and Matt Amat. You can buy this book and others at www.sixfootswellspress.com. That's www.sixfootswellspress.com. Hey kids, it's your old hippie Uncle Dan here. And I gotta tell you, one of the number one things I get asked all the time is, oh hippie Uncle Dan, what's the number one piece of advice that you could give somebody? And I've gave that a lot of thought, recently. And the best advice I could give somebody is to find you a nice sized rock. It doesn't have to be a very big one, just a small one. I like this one. It's smooth and it's just a pretty rock. And you take that rock and you carry it around in your pocket. And whenever you start to worry, you take the rock out and you just kind of rub it a little bit. Or sometimes when I'm in deep thought and I'm really trying to think through a situation, I take my rock out and I rub it like this, And I tell you, that's better than a fidget spinner, I think. And also, a rock like this, they think might be 500 million years old. Think about that. A rock this size and this shape could be 500 million years old. So yeah, you just take a nice little rock, find it, keep it in your pocket, That's the best advice I can give you. And plus, at the end of the day, if the rubber hits the road and things don't go well, it's always good to have a rock in your pocket in case you need to chuck it at somebody. Hey, stay tuned for more advice from your good old hippie Uncle Dan. Thanks for watching.
When the pimp's in the crib, ma, drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
Hoy en mi ventana brilla el sol.
I'm a gangster.
Y el corazón se pone triste contemplando.
So, in addition to the publishing, you've obviously written poetry for a long time.
Yeah. This will be my seventh book. Yeah.
Okay.
Seventh book, and then I've produced different festivals and events and whatnot as well. And I've hosted, lots of poetry series and whatnot. Yeah.
What got you to start writing poems?
Broken heart. No other outlet. It was sort of like that scene from Alien, right? So something's got to get out, and I loved her that day, and I still love her today, and that's how I wrote the first poem. I was a teenager, and then mercifully, I had teachers and then professors who began to look at what I was writing and sort of offered me not only the importance of revising and how poetry was a craft, but they began to also provide me with the inspirations of, Kerouac and then our dear, Hunter, and beyond, right? Gregory Corso, Lou Welch, things like that. And so yeah, that's how it started. Again, yeah, it just started because I was in love then. I'm still in love. So everything I write's a love poem, for good or ill, one of the two.
Yeah, I've often said that nothing brings out the poet in a person quite like getting your heart broken for that first time. Like there's and it was that for me too, like, and I still have that poem somewhere, um, because something in me told me that it was important, you
Yeah.
know. I just didn't know why at the time. I didn't know that I would write, more pieces after that, but it was like you said, it was like it felt like it had to come out somehow. And
Yeah, I prefer the falling in love side of it now. Like I like to write that. That's much better.
yes, yes.
Yeah. Speaking of, I love that in your poetry. And there are like you've got a knack for like being sentimental and like in love with every one of your lovers. You're like in love with. You know what I'm saying? You can read it in the poetry, but and you like frequent dive bars. All of your poems are in dive bars and jukeboxes and cheap beer cans. And I think that you've got that kind of dive bar, poetry spirit, but you have that in a more tender way than Bukowski did, and like a
Mhm.
more fun way and a more like tender way.
Yeah, it was because in Kisses from a Straight Razor, one of my books, my friend Neely Tchaikovsky wrote a nice little forward. There it is. Yeah, to it as well. But you know what? In one review, it was William Taylor Jr. And William is great, and I love every time he comes to New Orleans. And but he had a great thing. He said, Todd is in love with love. I've always liked that one.
What a great thing to be in love with, though.
I know, right? Yeah, it could be worse. Yeah.
So let me ask you this real quick before we have you read a couple of poems.
Right.
In all of the places you've been and you've drank in and read poetry in and uh, committed pirate behavior in,
Yeah.
some of your top 2 or 3 favorite dive bars.
Well, most are right here in New Orleans. There's Harry's Corner Bar where Live and Let Die was the first 3 minutes are filmed right in front of Harry's Corner Dive Bar here that I go to. Boondock Saint that's here. There used to be a really good one in California, but it was in a place called Cayucas, but I don't know if it's still there or not. You know, uh, if you're in a good place, they've got a good dive bar. Yeah.
Okay, would you read us a couple poems?
Sure, of course. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so here we go. Um, Am I the only one hanging on? She is in the middle of the country, writing poems about the splitting, the separating, and farmers' fields burning. While I am here in New Orleans, still writing love poems while everything sinks around me. That one. Because I caught y'all's other podcasts, and so you're music lovers. So this one will be for y'all. Lukenbach, Texas. I have reached the point of becoming a goddamn country music cliche. I sit alone in a dirty bar in ripped jeans, trucker hat, light wallet, surrounded by old torn posters, a faded chalkboard, blinking half neons, and a dusty bottle of root beer schnapps not touched since '78. With busted dreams, drinking cheap beer and strong shots, listening to Waylon Jennings sing about Willie and the boys, and I know all the words. These kinds of situations make a person reflective, and I realize that my life contains the classic elements: wrecked trucks by love's long loss, stranded in the rain without bus fare home, thrown in jail 3 times for things I was completely guilty of, been cheated out of my money and my heart, left for other men, and if I'm being honest, the occasional woman too. Had all the light bulbs in my house methodically busted out one by one by one. Had a goddamn shotgun pointed in my face, and when she said it was loaded, I took her word for it. But I don't ride horses. I don't wear a giant bucking Bronco belt buckle or even own a dog. Yet here I sit at the far end of the bar with an open tab, living it up, writing the next chorus. Just me, Waylon, Willie, and the boys.
I like that poem.
Thank you. Yeah.
Me
Tell us
too.
your website.
ToddCirillo.com. Yeah.
Cirillo.com. What books should people be interested in buying of yours?
Disposable Darlings, the new one. Yeah, that is Disposable Darlings. That one there. Three Poets Walk into a Bar, Burning the Evidence, you name it. Just go to ToddCirillo.com and they're all there. Yeah.
All right. And this is, I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
So I lived 20 years in Toledo as a poet. And in November, there's a literary festival coming to Toledo, and you're going to be one of the featured readers. Are you excited
Yes.
about Toledo?
I am excited about the Underground Lit Fest. Yes, indeed. I am looking forward to it because there's a large portion of some of the people that are going to be there that I'm going to meet for the first time. Some that I'm old friends with, but I like the idea because I get the feeling that it's going to be like you know, rusted metal for poetry in a way. You know, like something really sturdy and a hell of a good time, and that's what I'm looking forward to. Yeah.
I mean, this is like right smack dab pretty much in the middle of the Rust Belt. You know?
Yeah, cannot wait. And Michelle McDaniel, cannot wait to actually meet her in person as well. And yeah, I mean, I like the idea that it's in a record shop, right?
Oh yeah, it's in my favorite record store in the world, Culture Clash Records.
Yeah, cannot wait. I mean, that's going to be awesome. As long as you got to have a music stand, right? Well, I'll be there. I'll be there. Just make sure it's not cold.
It's November, man. It's unpredictable in November. Eventually, when I get my shit together enough, I'm going to hopefully leave Ohio in October and go somewhere warm and not come back till April. That's my dream.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I've dealt with the winter too much, man.
Yeah, you should become like a campground host at a national park or something for the.
I just don't play that well with others, man. You know, yeah.
Just make sure it's somewhere way out.
So, ironically, my best offer at that, I've got a friend whose sister, an artist friend in Toledo, her sister owns like 30 acres way up north in the upper peninsula of Michigan, where it's pretty much the fucking tundra.
Yeah.
Like, you can put your camper here. I'll pay for your electric, and I'll give you like $200 a week to help me like take care of this property. I'm like, nah, I would rather shoot myself. Like, and then live there. No offense. It's beautiful up there in the summer.
Right. Yeah.
That's where Isla's dad is from, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, he's from the upper peninsula.
It's
I've heard.
I go in the summer.
Yeah.
You're right. That's what I told him. It was like, you ever want to go up there and visit? And I'm like, not during the wintertime.
It ever snow in New Orleans?
It did this last January.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the first time in like 125 years. We got 11 inches, and the whole city was shut down for 4 days straight.
Wow.
Completely. Some bars were still open, but yeah, it was horrible. It was everybody appreciated it for about 6 hours. And then when they realized, because I used to also live in the mountains of California too, in Colorado. I've lived in Colorado for a bit, but yeah, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, Ted, does this know where you're at?
It's like an every couple of years kind of thing. Like we got some snow this last winter, but it's like I think like the last really major snowstorm we had was a good decade or and some change ago. But where I live, like if 2 flurries fall from the sky, that's it. The city is shut down. They'll shut down the interstate. It's crazy. Like we're not prepared for it when it does hit. I'll put it like that.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah,
my whole life.
Dan, what are you looking forward to for the Underground Lit Fest?
I think two things. I'm most excited about getting to meet, I got to meet you. I've met Bill Gaynor, some of these iconic poets that I've like kind of crossed off the list over the years, and William Taylor Jr. Like he's probably the most when I ask people like who's the best poet in the underground, he's maybe the name I hear the most. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to meeting him and hearing him read, and meeting all these other amazing poets for the first time. But secondly, I'm really excited to like kind of show off my city, man. Toledo is like a really good place to be an artist because historically the cheap cost of living has been cheap, you know. And so there's really like an iconic, like underground kind of art scene here that doesn't get a lot of attention. Doesn't get enough attention.
All right.
By the way, it's home of the great jazz pianist Art Tatum. He's from Toledo.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, speaking of New Orleans and jazz, but so
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to showing off my record shop, my favorite record store, people that have been good to me. The Switchboard's an amazing bar. There's a Switchboard where we're going to be at on Friday night and get beers from and stuff on what's the next Saturday. They're the only bar I've seen in the Ohio for sure that has a little art gallery. Like,
All right.
how
Yeah.
cool is that?
It's very cool. Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah. We published one of William's books. Pretty things to say. So that was a highlight. And like I said, I've had him come out here, quite a few times since 2019 is when we first read together, and I think we've read almost every year or so since then. Yeah,
Oh,
at
yeah.
least something. Yeah, he's great.
Ted, we got to get you out to something like this.
Yeah, I've been itching to get out of here. I think that's been like my biggest problem here lately is I've been in North Carolina for too long. So like some kind of adventure, something. It's like, gosh, we haven't had like a real vacation since before the pandemic. I mean, it was like the pandemic hit and then she got sick and then just, everything kind of went downhill for a while. But yeah, hopefully I'll be in a position where I can actually make the trip uh here in the next year, maybe a year or two.
All right, we got like 20 seconds, Todd. Give me
All right.
the best advice to a young poet that you can give.
Get it out on the railroad tracks and put yourself in a position that you can write, but you can also take stuff in so you can write. Yeah, get out there.
It's your trusty correspondent, Dan, giving you a report from your local car dealership. This month I talked with Salesman Joe and also to Mona, the secretary to the finance director, and this is the report that they provided for the month. Salesman Joe says that there's a big sale this month and it's one of their best of the year. This month only, instead of costing you an arm and a leg, all new cars will only cost an arm. Secretary Mona says that there are several great deals amongst their used car selection and says to remind everyone that all used cars come with a 666-point certification inspection. So you can be assured that all the used cars from your local car dealership are 100% certified to run like the devil. Salesman Joe reports that the lobby popcorn machine is still broken, and to compensate for that, all visitors to your local car dealership will be provided with one complimentary pack of ramen noodles, your choice of chicken or shrimp flavored. Secretary Mona gave a report of all of this month's special promotions. Here are the highlights. Every Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day, and all customers that show up wearing one on Fridays will have their name put into a drawing to win a free grass skirt. Every Saturday is Bring Your Kids to the Dealership Day, and this month they'll be featuring visits from Carhorn the Clown and his trusty sidekick Tommy the Talking Truck. Cherry Kool-Aid will be provided, but there will be no petting zoo this month after last month's medical incidents. On the second Thursday of each month, the sales floor features free Karaoke, hosted by DJ Blonde Mustache. Contestants will compete for a $10 off coupon towards their next new car purchase. And remember, on Hump Day Wednesdays, you can get your picture taken for free with a cardboard camel cutout. Moving right along now, Salesman Joe says that the highway robbery mechanic shop at the dealership has a sale on oil changes, just $599, and a special on their Sure to Rust protective ceramic coating for your car's paint. It's half off this month for just $21.99. That's just $2,099. Mona reports that interest rates are dropping and are now sitting at just 33%. And that the dealership is still offering no money down financing for those that qualify, mostly those with perfect credit. Joe says his most interesting customer of the month was the mayor. Says he bought a brand new designer sports car that looks like a panty-dropping rocket ship. Joe says the mayor paid in cash with bills marked as evidence. When he asked the mayor why the money all said evidence, the mayor replied, "It's evidence that I'm rich. Now give me my fucking car." And there you have it, your monthly report from your local car dealership, where they promise to beat any deal from any competitor, or they'll give you a free pack of ramen noodles. I'm your reliable correspondent, Dan, from Channel 62 News.
Hey, Ted, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Hey, you know what? I just read an article that said you're not supposed to ask people that.
Really?
Because then they go on automatic mode like it's just an average comment. They go on autopilot. They said you should ask, "Hey, have you had any fun lately?" Or ask a question out of the ordinary. Anyway, there's a
Right.
interesting thing I just read.
I think I saw a video of that. They were talking to like a clinical psychologist that said that, yeah, you should lead with like a question that's a little more disarming, that you'll
Yeah,
get a more honest answer.
yeah. So anyway, as soon as I said, "How are you doing?" I thought of that article. I was like, so
Hey, force a habit.
yeah. How's life out in North Carolina?
Oh, it's good, good. Took a walk to the dispensary today. There are protesters protesting the data center that they're wanting to build here, which is nice to see a protest going on in my town that I actually agree with. And then there was a street musician playing on the way back, and I stopped and listened to them for a little bit. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. You know what? I also went to the dispensary today. Uh, my partner Jess and I, we went up and got 2 ounces of some really good stuff. The dispensary I go to, I used to work at part time.
Oh, okay.
As like I started to miss some work more with my just like my health and my mental health and stuff. Like the owner pretty much was like, he still gives me the employee discount. And if I ever get healthy again, I could probably go back there.
That's
Uh,
cool.
they take pretty good care of me. But anyway, so we're gathered here this evening to talk about what Ted's listening to and what I'm reading. And I kind of think the ironic joke about that, Ted, is that like you definitely are far more of a music nerd than I'll ever be. But also music was one of the things that like early on like connected us. That I love music. And some
Yes.
like, and talking about different oddball music. And second of all, I talk about what I'm reading lately, and you're a poet who also loves to read. You know what I'm saying? Like I think this kind of funny. Uh,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've got a mixed batch of influences and things like that. It's kind of a mutual sharing uh, society, as it were.
I bet probably if I look back, I think you and I probably first connected because of your right around when you yeah, it was before you were in the hospital. Before your book,
Yeah, it was when
probably
the
through poetry.
yeah, it was This Is Poetry, when the Poets of the South came out, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So then I think we got connected more because our mental health and then music and I was like, hey Ted, why don't we hang out once in a while and record this stuff?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
It's, you know,
So anyway,
so
question of the minute, Ted. It's September. It's fall. We're sliding into spooky season. Football's going on. Collars are changing. What are you listening to?
I'm glad you asked that. I've been thinking a lot as I usually do in the fall because fall is kind of my season. I start thinking about like playlists and stuff like that. There's just certain music that just suits the season, and these are just a few of my picks. Uh, First off, we got Soundtracks for the Blind by Swans. There is practically no style of music that is not, at least extreme experimental music, that is not touched on by this album. There are ambient tracks, there's like field recordings. The thing that holds it together is these interviews between Michael Girard, the lead singer, and his dad, who was going blind, interviewing him about what that's like. And these clips kind of like bookend the album. It's a very spooky album too. Real good late night music. Um, Next up, we got I'm not even gonna pronounce the album, but we're listening to Gore Guts. Those metal bands with their crazy album titles. This one is an extreme kind of experimental avant-garde metal record. It's death metal, but kind of goes beyond that, and it's like one 30-minute long track, and it just takes you on a journey, as some of the best music does. Up next, we got Gray by Moses Sumney, right there. Moses Sumney, originally from Los Angeles, he now actually lives in Asheville, North Carolina, and he makes like kind of experimental R&B music. And the song "Viral" off this album, man, I've just been playing that song on a loop since I got this CD in the mail a couple of days ago, and it does that thing, and you can probably agree with me here. It just The best songs, the best works of art kind of create these worlds that you like want to live inside of. And that song has just had a hold on me.
Let me
And
ask.
then,
Now that you say that, Ted, let me ask you something. We're
huh?
both in recovery.
Yes.
I was talking about this today. Obviously, my alcoholism and drug addiction was some form of escape from my reality, right? Like that was,
Yes.
and I feel like good music, or when I'm writing my own work, or like watching a good documentary, or listen, like those things, like those are a more healthy distraction from reality. Is that kind of for you too?
Yes, yeah. Any kind of work of art can do it. Like a good film, going to an art gallery and looking at a really amazing painting, pieces of music. Music, I was just saying, the other day there's that phenomenon that a lot of people have, synesthesia, I think it's called. Like Pharrell Williams from the Neptunes has it, where they say that when they hear a piece of music, they see colors or images. I think I have a little bit of that because music hits me in this way that is not like it does for a lot of other people, I don't think.
It
It's
shows.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like I almost have like little like movies play in my head almost when I'm listening to something really good. Um, oh, this is a good one. Uh, Get Up With It, Miles Davis. Um, that is, I think, the last record he made before he retired from performing for a while, in the mid 70s. And it's kind of like a collection of things he had recorded with his various electric bands, like After Bitches Brew. And it's almost ambient. in a way. There's a track, He Loved Them Madly, that's like 30 minutes, I think, and it's just this droning keyboard, like ocean of sound. Um, and finally, we got Heaven or Las Vegas, Cocteau Twins. This is a great band, which you talked about how instrumental music is your go-to when you are writing. Their music is not instrumental, but their singer, Elizabeth Fraser, the lyrics are intentionally really cryptic and almost like just there to be another instrument in the mix. It's very ambient, like soundscape kind of stuff with her this really emotional voice, really powerful melodies. It's pop music, but kind of experimental pop music. So those are a few of my picks. I'll throw together a playlist and probably add in a few extras, just for the fanboys and fangirls.
And fan they thems.
Yes, yes. Thank you for that. I was trying to think of how to word that.
I don't have one for that, but I am a parent of two they thems, non-binary people, and we have in my family come up with the phrase "dather" instead of brother or sister. Hey, get your
I
dather.
like it.
We
I like it.
and we say the dams when we're talking about both of my non-binary, like, hey, dams, both terms we've adopted. So
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, it's kind of interesting as I've explored it with my own stuff and friends who are also gender fluid or not binary, various pronouns. Uh, is exploring and seeing the way that people find creative ways to be gender neutral. Like people come up with some really cool shit.
we're working on that.
Just
Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah.
you know, and I think I've spoke about this before, even on this show. I'm a union guy, and I'm from the projects. So my whole life, everybody's been, "Hey, brother. Hey, sister. Hey, bro." That's my whole life. And I don't want to be offensive. I want to be inclusive. I want everybody to feel loved and like they're seen. So I've been trying to adopt more of like homie, comrade, friends, like saying those more gender neutral. Uh, I picked up the word homie from my friend Nettie Zan in Kansas City, who is my maybe they are up there with my favorite artists, living artists. Like, yeah,
Nice.
Nettie Zan in Kansas City.
Coming to Toledo, Ohio on November 7th and 8th. The Small Press Lit Fest, hosted by the Literary Underground.
So Dan, what you been reading here
Uh,
lately?
I'm glad you asked, Ted. I got a couple, I think, surprises on my list tonight for this month. First of all, I just finished for the third time and wrote a review for a poet named Dave Newman, his book Better Than the Best American Poetry. Came out on Roadside Press. Uh,
Yeah.
Newman, by the book absolutely is incredible. You should read it. It is incredible. Newman last year won, or this year won the Pete Rattles People's Choice Poetry Award, and he
Oh, nice.
in the same year. So that's like two championship belts or something,
Hell
Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
Living up to the book title.
he's that good of a poet. Um,
Right.
yeah, so his book, Better Than the Best American Poetry from Roadside Press, I loved it. Outside of people, a lot of people talk about Fred Boss. who is a machinist and like a brilliant poet in Southern California.
Mm,
And
yeah.
Dave Newman has a poem about him in the book. But also, I think now that RIP we've lost Fred, I feel like Newman might be up there in the running for like our new like best living blue collar poet kind of. You know what I mean? I don't want
Nice.
to say that, but anyway, moving on. I've been on a big Larry kick lately.
Oh, okay.
He won a Pulitzer. Uh, he also wrote the screenplay Terms of Endearment. A lot of brilliant things. Brilliant writer. But I read his memoir. He has a memoir called Books, and I loved it. But you got to be like on Ted's level of music nerd with books to like this book, probably. Uh, it's like a memoir about like so Larry Brown really fell in love with books as well as writing, like I have, and a lot of people. And so the book is about 50 years of his life where he has chased books. He owned a bookstore for 30 years. And the things I loved the most about reading this was he would talk about spending a day at Scribner's in New York, and they're closed. Somewhere
Yeah.
he would talk about being in Powell's, that's still
Uh,
open. It was kind of cool to like read these stories about these old bookstores that are closed, and I'll never be able to see.
yeah.
That was kind of my
Yeah.
part about that. So, and then two more. This is the one that I think surprises people the most when I tell them that this is a highly recommended book. But I'm about halfway through it again. It's probably the fifth or sixth time I've read this book. Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth
Really?
Gilbert. Yes, I'm going to just say that Elizabeth Gilbert is a badass writer. 100% a badass writer. And furthermore, this book, Eat, Pray, Love, I know it sounds like I've never seen the movie. I don't know, but I know it has kind of this maybe reputation for being like butterflies and whatever. But really, the book is about her going through like two of the hardest years of her life and losing a marriage and a home. And so she gets like uh somebody to hire her, like give her some like an advance for this book, and she like takes off and she spends like 4 months in Italy, and that's the eat part, which I learned so much about Italy by reading this book. Number
Oh,
two is
nice.
pray, and she goes and spends 4 months in an ashram in India, and like reading those stories and like the spirituality I believe in was like another like learning session for me. And
Huh?
then the last section of it about love, she talks about spending 4 months as like almost a hedonist in Bali. And it's like someday I need to go to Bali. Anyway, I highly recommend that book. And then finally, I just read for the second time probably in my life Anais Nin's book of erotica, Delta of Venus. You ever read that, Ted?
I haven't read that, but I have a box set of her diaries that I love.
Yeah,
Uh,
her diaries are phenomenal, and not just Anais Nin was a badass too.
hmm? Oh yeah, yeah. She's one of my heroes.
Her erotica book, and she explains in the intro forward of the book that her and Henry Miller, who was one of her lovers, and other partners or other not partners, other like writers in England that they knew, or France, but
France.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Her and some other writers that they knew had a client in America that would pay them $100 for dirty stories. So
I,
he just wrote this shit, and she said that they would constantly get replies back, make it less poetic and more vulgar, basically.
I
So
have been trying to find a friend to ask me that to set me up that same
yeah,
way.
absolutely. Uh,
Yeah,
but
like
that book was the erotica is like it's I dislike any erotica that uses medical terms for body parts. You know what I mean? Like let's
yeah,
nothing is more unsexy than penis and vagina. You know what I mean? Uh,
yes,
that,
yes,
but once again, I kind of have a secret, like crush on Anais Nin because she was badass and brilliant.
yeah.
And like really badass artist. But the thing that really struck me about this book, Erotica, Delta of Venus, is the vulgarity that she was able to produce. And like I'm
Hey,
talking
man.
like some stuff that would this book's probably still banned in a lot of places.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Honestly, if you're not getting banned, like you're not doing it right. I'm trying to get banned, you know? Like,
Let's face it, some of the art that you and I have made would get banned if it had enough notoriety and attention. Like,
yeah, yeah.
like there's no way my work would be accepted in Florida.
Oh, fuck no. Fuck no. Especially my upcoming chapbook. Let's see, I came out in a poem in it, you know, so there's that,
Man,
you know, lots of drug use.
Ted, not only are they going to ban that, they probably burn that fucker.
Hey, that's what I'm after, man. Burn my book.
I said one time before I die, or when I die, I hope the Westboro Baptist Church like protests my funeral. That's how well I want to live my life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I've seen, like, I saw a T-shirt one time that said "Live your life in such a way that would scare the shit out of the Christian family." You know, it's just like,
And it's not hard to do. All you got to do is be inclusive and loving to everybody. And all of a sudden, you're
exactly,
goddamn
just like Christ would
president
do.
of democracy with you. Being kind is so un-American. You can't do that. You
I
know,
know, man.
kindness is weakness.
It's silly me for being kind and accepting. You know.
Yeah, yeah, silly. I I don't know. I think I get frustrated. And I know there's a difference between like the ultra right Christianity and like normal Christians, I guess. And I'm not a fan. I don't like any religion. Uh, I don't, anyway. But the thing that like is always I have always found hilarious is I grew up in a Pentecostal church. I was forced to go to church like 6 times or 4 times a week. Uh, and I read that Bible cover to cover probably a dozen times in my life. And what cracks me up is how so little of Christianity and their doctrines today have anything to do with Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah,
None.
yeah.
Like they
They're
forget that the word Christian means to be like Christ-like. And it's like I was telling somebody, I feel like we went from WWJD, like what would Jesus do to like fuck what Jesus would do,
yeah, yeah. You know, I've actually heard people, you know, say, "Oh, you know, Jesus is too woke," or like whatever. Which I hate that term. You know, it's
Great, I
misuse.
hate cliches. Tell them, listen, I'm not woke. I'm just on the path of enlightenment, motherfucker. You know?
I always say, you know, I'm not woke. I'm just fucking aware.
And it doesn't take rocket science. You were talking earlier about this being disturbing and scary to like conservative and stuff. My friend Dr. Teresa, one of the most brilliant humans I've ever met. Dude, Dr. Teresa is a brilliant human. Uh fucking doctor. uh anyway, she shared a meme with me of James Baldwin, one of his quotes, and it
uh,
said an artist's job is to disturb the peace. And I
yes.
agree with that. Like there's an element of art, and I'm not saying I think in times like these, almost any art is like an act of resistance.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
People that continue to write poetry and paint and make music in this fucking dumpster fire, like that's an act of resistance. That's an act of love. You know what I mean? Uh, but I think that beyond that, is as a poet, beyond like documenting like factory work and all the things that I write about and poverty and drug addiction, homelessness, all the things I've experienced in life, I feel like a little bit of an obligation to somehow document a little bit of the world around me as I go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that, you know, I think of myself as a documentarian myself. I'm documenting, you know, what's going on with me mentally, but also what's going on in the world, you know, in my immediate vicinity and elsewhere.
But, yeah, that's some heavy shit, Ted. And this is for fun. So let me ask you this. Halloween is next month in October.
Mhm.
Uh, and let's just do a quick teaser. Tell me one of your all-time favorite horror movies.
Uh, this is a kind of a more recent one, but I really like this movie called House of the Devil. It came out in 2009, I think, and it is set in 1980, like 1979, 1980, during the Satanic Panic. And this girl goes to a babysitting job that is promised to pay for the down payment on her first apartment. And things quickly turn out to not be what she expected. We'll just put it like that. It's an awesome throwback for people like myself who are a fan of like 1970s, 1980s horror. And I'm also fascinated by anything having to do with the Satanic Panic. Having grown up through the tail end of it, I can remember the commercials like, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? And all that shit, news reports about backwards messages.
They're still talking about razor blades in your Tootsie Rolls, man. Devil's out there, Ted. Devil's out there and he wants to give drugs to your kids.
Let me just be the first to say, and maybe not even the first, but no stoner cares enough to give your kids their edibles. Like, that's, if it happens, it happens by
100%.
mistake.
100%. I can tell you this on the highest authority. No junkie is giving up their junk either.
Through that.
You know. So yeah, I'm looking forward to talking. Ted and I are we're gonna cook up something different, a little bit special, I think, next month. There's your
Oh,
tease.
yeah, sure.
I was just gonna tell you, I think this is gonna sound funny, but I think the scariest movie of all time to me, and I'm not a huge horror fan, but I'll watch, I like movie and I'll watch. The scariest movie I've ever seen is Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon.
That's a great fucking movie.
And it's because I watched it, came out when I was a teenager. And I was like real stoned, and I don't know, who knows what drugs I was. But we watched this movie like late at night. So
Yeah.
like demons and like spirits. And the thing is, like, I'm not afraid of like big scary bloody monsters. Like that stuff's kind of funny, It's not
Yeah.
Jason's not really horrific to me, right?
Right.
But a ghost that I can't punch or put in a headlock or an arm bar, that worries me. I remember watching that Stir of Echoes, and it kind of tripped me out for a couple of days. Like it was like I think that was like the scariest movie I ever watched.
Yeah, that's just, certain movies will do that. And like I just put a post, on Facebook the other day about how there's this thing that happens to a lot of people where you'll see a movie that scares the shit out of you when you're a kid, and then you go back and watch it years later, and it's just like puppets and like what was I so?
Killer
But
Clowns
then,
the Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
yeah, yeah,
That came out in the '80s when I was like 7, man. That freaked me the fuck out when I was a little kid. What the
that's
hell
a,
was that?
That yeah, I have a love for like serious horror movies. Like I like stuff that's suspenseful, but I also have a love for like low budget ad. There's
Yeah.
something about something that tries to be good and just misses the mark entirely that I just it's like crap to me. Like